Hi, and welcome to the show. This is an EURweb exclusive. I'm Steffanie Rivers, and you're watching a Ready to Love exit interview segment. Now, this is where you get firsthand information from cast members about the possible drama behind the scenes. So that we can find out what really happened that might have caused them to be eliminated. We're multicasting on several platforms, including Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. And today we're talking to Lunie Forde. She's the latest cast member to be told you're not ready to love. So we want to welcome Lunie to the show. Thanks again. Thanks for joining us. How's it going, Miss Lunie?
Hello, going quite well. Thank you for having me.
And I just learned as we're getting ready that we are from the same area of Virginia. So, homegirl, yeah, it's a small world. But I wanted to just talk to you about your experience on the show because you were one of the favorites, it seemed, when people commit to a process like this, they hope that it ends with them finding that elusive love connection. Uh, what went through your mind, Lunie, when Samson, of all people, told you that you were being removed from the process?
I was to hear that. I was relieved. This was definitely a journey and a very, very different than what I was prepared for. But Samson was very clear. Delivery, which was not ready to love any of them. So he was I felt very happy. I didn't feel, upset or anything. I knew it was prepared.
So did you feel like, at that point, did you feel like your person was there or not there? At what point did you feel like my person really is not here? Because sometimes in those situations, you're kind of vested into being in the process, even though you
Exactly.
feel like my person really ain't here, but I want to see it through to the end. Let me just keep weeding through people.
Absolutely. At the mixer, I kind of was like, okay, but you don't want to. I'm not a quitter. You don't self-eliminate. Out the gate, even though Calvin did. But you at least try to open yourself up to the process because you're there to learn things. You're there to open up side of your comfort zone, possibly do things that you've not done before. So I want to know the good Cheerio, and I thought that I fought the good fight anyway. Tried to stay as long as I possibly could, and try to connect with who I could, but at the end, which I thought was very important, is you can't force things and I can't fake things. So for me, and just fake my way through to the end. I didn't think that potentially you can end up hurting people if you do that too.
So on the last part of the show, when you guys sat down with Samson and his ex-girlfriend, she was supposed to be his truth teller. The first, because I interviewed Samson a couple of days ago, one of the things I asked him was, does he make it a habit of keeping in touch with exes? Because that for me, although he did explain why, that for me, I don't do that. Do you keep in touch with exes, Lunie?
Quite honestly, it's excuse me if y'all hear my dog in the bag. But I don't know if I necessarily keep in touch with exes. I mean, I don't necessarily have burnt bridges necessarily with exes. So I typically would understand someone who's still cool with an ex, but it depends on what level. Something about their level seemed a little, might be a little bit more, but we'll get to that even later. But they seemed like they were still cool. I didn't see a problem with that.
So what about the fact that do you think it made a difference to Samson, and his girlfriend brought this up, that she felt like, oh, Sharice was a better fit for him because Sharice seemed more anxious, although she didn't use that word, anxious to be in a relationship with Samson, versus you in your confessional said in front of them, you know what, I am the prize, and I going to show you what I bring to the table, and then that's up to us to decide if we want to be together. Um, so what do you think about women who kind of like fall over themselves to appeal to a man?
Baby, look, I said what I said, and I meant what I said. Okay. Um, to me, I mean, vibes, and it was. Stay tuned. But for me, I just actually, when he hadn't really done all of that for me, and I also don't know is that we don't know when we get there that there's going to be other. No, there was going to be company, present. So when I got there and it was Sharice and Brandy, I was like, oh, I didn't even, realize it was like all of this going on. I don't want to be involved in this food. That's kind of how I felt at the time. So it kind of came off, a little harsher than I may have what I said when I said I'm not no pick me type of chick. Like, I'm just not going to sit there and ex-girlfriend, like, okay, so what are you gonna do for him? And then I'm gonna sit there and go on this. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. What's for me is for me. It, like I said, and ABC, and and for me, I want that anyway. Like, the man that's for me, I want the man to absolutely choose me, and for me to be his priority. I don't need to personally. So
So do you
that's just
think
me.
that made a difference in him fighting for you at the end, that you kind of weren't all in with him, or do you think no, that wasn't it, because you were, again, you were, nobody really had anything bad to say about Looney, none of the guys, and or the ladies for that matter. But when you look at Katie, and they talked about how abrasive she could be in her conversation and her
Mhm.
questioning, they talked about how Sharice was kind of extra assertive. But they liked Looney, they liked you, but let's send her home. It just doesn't make sense to
I
me. It seemed like
know,
one of
right?
those two would have been first. So what do you make of that?
Um, without saying too much, um, it was my time. It was my time to go. You know, um, I felt like I was gonna leave, even earlier, and in my little frisbee picnic date, I was kind of checked out of the process. For me, I was ready to go. So I realized as well. I'm like, there's definitely other people that seem like it would have been a better matter either way, because I wasn't going on that group trip. Like, it just wasn't. I wasn't gonna do that. That's period, point blank. It was my time.
So so the group trip that they are going on in the next episode, you already knew, and so you had already decided I'm not going on that group trip. Is that what you're saying?
Well, again, it was my time. It was my time. Without going into details that are frivolous and irrelevant. It was my time. So.
A lot of viewers now. Do you keep up with the comments on social media about the show as you're watching it? Is that something that you do, or you try not to watch the
Oh, I post
comments?
comments on Twitter. I post them right on my page on IG. They are posted. I go, and after pretty much every episode, I go and I look at the Twitter comment page. So I'm looking, I'm watching.
Because a lot of us, including myself, are wondering why there's so many group dates, why that keeps you from getting to know people interpersonally, when you're so busy trying to, look at her, look at him, and look at her, and look at him, and you can't focus on people. It was that just like a producer's thing, or did they ask you guys, you want to go on group dates or no? Because you just said you weren't too. They don't really tell you. You just show up, and whatever it is however you're supposed to handle it.
Yeah, it's a process to participate in the process. So no, we're not necessarily informed what the date is going to be, or who's going to be there. Typically, you don't really know those things. So, and one of the things about the dates which I found interesting is, some people mentioned the cast members, and they were mentioning how, you could request dates and things of that nature. And I just never really got that, that memo as far as requesting dates until like maybe close. And I don't know, maybe COVID did, do a number on me where, I had a disadvantage to compared to other people on the cast, because I wasn't aware that you could request dates. I'm like, wait, why is that until closer towards the end? Because I wasn't, I didn't really date like everybody. I didn't go on a date with mine. Like it was weird, but whatever. That's the process.
Well, one of the things people said that about you is when you enter the room, you had your walk together. This is my camera time, and you you sashayed on in, and it seemed one of the people that you had a connection with, at least what I could tell, is LJ, and seemed like y'all got along and laughed and talked. Now, LJ also was the other cast member, male cast member, who brought an ex to the show as his truth teller to meet his top draft picks, as I call them. And Trinika she grilled the lady, and had the lady confessing that that she was still in love with LJ, and that they had slept together only a few weeks ago.
I asked about the love thing. Trinika asked about the sex. I asked about the love thing, because I'm like, well, if y'all are still must have some emotional attachments here, so I wanted to know, who are you still in love?
Exactly. So how did you feel about that? It seemed like, that you would have known, or he would have said something about, yeah, I just got out of a relationship. I don't ever remember him saying, I just got out of a relationship. Or maybe he doesn't think of sleeping with somebody as be in a relationship, maybe. But it just seems like he would have been more forthcoming with that, and not chose her to come to the show knowing that she was still a little, in love with him.
Every time I think of LJ, it's got the feeling. That's like the only thing I think of all the time now. I just can't help it. That is. But LJ is a whole character. I don't know what he was thinking, or maybe they crossed really understand what she was supposed to do. She didn't understand the assignment or something. I don't know, but she was every bit of it. I was like, yes, ma'am, tell it all, because that changed for me. I mean, LJ was kind of like, yeah, we kind of connected in the beginning, but to me, it was always kind of friendly. It potentially could transgress into like a romantic kind of thing. But for me, really, it wasn't going to that next level. And then when that situation happened, it was like, excuse me, but heck no, we can't do that. We can't do that. That was a flag. And I don't know why he thought that. I don't know why he thought that was cute. That was not cute.
Yeah, I guess he underestimated, you and Trinika. That's what that was. He probably knew her.
That was about to be a whole rekindling matchmaking situation. To get back together, do me and Trinika need to?
Right,
I don't know.
Right. So during the roundtable discussion before the season started, I was on a media panel, and I asked the question about what were you looking for? What was your top priority in your prospective significant other? And you said being a provider. So based on the selection of the guys that showed up at this for this season, and your experience in dating, how it didn't seem like, it seems like it's hard to find a person who's going to be a provider. And now that you are a celebrity, do you think it's going to be even harder because now people just want to be around Lunie because she's a celebrity?
I mean, I mean, I feel special. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's the situation. I mean, the DMs are definitely popping, but that is everything with dating is weird. And like, we were kind of talking earlier nowadays with men and their requirements and the things that they want and their expectations, and social being able to have all of these options has changed the game of dating. So celebrity, or it's murky waters out there. Murky waters.
So going to the reunion, you guys have taped the reunion already, and the reunion show. So what, as you were watching the show, the show season unfold as with the millions of others, what are some of the surprising revelations that came to you that you didn't realize people were saying in their confessionals or behind your back that you saw during the show, and you're like, wait a minute, now you could have told me that? Or was there anything that it was addressed at the reunion?
For me personally, no. I didn't really have situations, any of the ladies that were sideways or crooked. I didn't have to. That just wasn't my situation. So I didn't know at the reunion there was no situation. I was surprised at some of the confessional I heard people saying, and then also just kind of surprised at what was shown versus what wasn't shown, and this particular season versus what actually happened. So those were some things that were.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think, I don't know that, because I had mentioned in a tweet as well that Samson seems to have a lot of tattoos, and nobody is mentioning that. That just seems like if somebody shows up with a bunch of tattoos, that would be something you would ask about, because that tells you kind of how they feel or where their mindset is. And he tweeted back and said, well, actually, they did ask me, but it was edited out. And so a lot of things being edited out. So is that something that the cast members or you have mentioned to, producers? Why are you editing it out? Do you think that's because they have a what's the word? They already know what they want to happen. They know where they want the storyline to go.
They're producers. So they have a show to put on. So that's what they're going to do, to participate in it. And you don't know how it's going to end up, but that's blame necessarily production or the producers per se. It's just I just were added, and certain things weren't edited a certain way, but it is what it is. Just try to stay positive.
So does this make you want to be a part of another type of show like this? Or you think, oh, it's just really all about ratings? So there's really, I was wasting my time looking for love.
Well, there are unexpected things that do happen on the show. Shout out to Cliff and that there are unexpected things that do happen, on the show. Something like this again, I would be better prepared going into it next time, knowing what was involved in, just being a little bit better prepared.
And so you are a realtor. Your bio says you're a realtor. Has business picked up for you? Do people now wanting to buy more houses since Lunie is a celebrity realtor now?
I definitely am still a realtor, estate, so business is definitely good. So if you're, please reach out.
And they can reach out to you on Instagram, and so you are in Fort Lauderdale. That's where you're based.
Yes, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beaches, all that, all of those territories.
All right. Was there anything that that I didn't ask that you want us to know as we close out the interview and get ready for the rest of the season? I don't know how many more episodes there are, but the rest of the season and the reunion.
Um, One of the things that I do, want you meet great people, on this show. One thing that people have to realize though is that just someone, things can work and things cannot work. So you can't, feel just all fake and this, that, and the other, because people don't end up in relationships at the end, together at the end. That's life. It happens. You get into relationships, you get to know somebody, and you go your separate ways. It happens. So don't be so judgmental about, and then you don't see that they've worked out at the end or whatever the case. Like, don't be so judgmental. Also, the show is edited, so you don't see everything. You don't get a piece of everyone. So judgments and assumptions about who people are when you don't know these people. You don't. Literally a very small glimpse. It could be a 2-hour conversation. You're going to get about 15 seconds of that. So you make this assumption of this person, and it's wrong. So keep that in mind as well, about different people on the cast, as well. And you don't really know these people. So just be so judgmental. That's it.
And I, that's probably a lesson for me as well, because I guess when you are producing a show, you need the sweet girl, you need the mean girl, you need this type of dude, you need that type of dude. And so you're looking for people to fill those character traits to make your show, antagonist, protagonist. And that might
Exactly.
not really be who she is. She might be the sweetest person in the world, but she's the best one to be your antagonist for this show. So yeah.
And the crazy part about it is you can't really blame production, because if it wasn't a working formula and a winning formula, you all, the viewers, this is what you want. This is what you're willing to watch. And if you're interested in seeing drama, chaos, certain things of that nature, then they wouldn't be showing this and using their shows. So you can't blame production. You can't blame the cast. You can't blame anybody. Enjoy it. It's entertainment. Period.
And I think that's good for that's a lesson for all of us, and me included. So I appreciate you taking out the time to come talk to us, and we will keep up with what's going on and look forward to seeing more of you on the reunion show.
Yes, definitely. You guys stay tuned for the reunion after the reunion.
All right. Well, you have a good rest of your week, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much. You do the same.
Bye.
Bye.
And thank you for joining us as well. To find out more about EURweb, you can go to EURweb.com. Thanks, and have a super day.